Goatskin, a despised nomad, is keen to meet Genghis Khan, champion of nomads. With her bandit love, Sister Chaos, she guides a caravan across the Gobi Desert to open trade with the Mongols. But the Gobi casts weird and gruesome strangeness at them like bad weather. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host Liam, aka Himvar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Bryn Hammond's Waste Flowers. So Goatskin is well, pretty much as that opening actually describes. She's a nomad, but she actually travels with, her lover, who is the leader of a small band of bandits. So we go north, away from civilization, where the nomad goes, right? Hence Goatskin going as well. It starts in a small ruined fortification, and there seems to be undead chariots and action going on right at the get-go. Goatskin's name is actually Angaj Duzmut, something like that. Actually, what's funny is that she goes by Goatskin because no one can pronounce her real name. So, anyways, her and her companions, which again are a group of bandits led by her lover Yao, something like that. Though Goatskin does not consider herself a bandit, and she reiterates this several times. She's not a bandit. She's not being recruited into anything as a soldier or anything of that sort. She's just a nomad, right? Pretty much saying she goes where she wants to go, and she happens to like to spend time with her lover. And her lover, likes spending time with her as well. And so even though her lover prefers the swamps that I guess they hang out in normally, she is willing to go through the Gobi Desert to go to the Mongols and Genghis Khan in particular, to see kind of what happens. So they're actually not going alone. They're not just going through the desert for no reason. It is a business trip, essentially. There is a merchant that they're guiding in his caravan. This merchant is from Samarkand, and he, we actually are introduced to him as he's ruminating on the need for trade and barbarism and civilization and a bunch of stuff. There's actually, I feel like, a decent amount of rumination here, and very poignant rumination. It's not just like hitting typical talking points for sword and sorcery tropes. It does hit a lot of them, but it gives it at a very different angle, a very interesting one. In this case, it's historical. It is Mongolian inspired, but it's not really something that I've seen very much at all. In fact, this is with another novella by Dario Kyoge, which I've previously reviewed, which is The Walls of Shira Yulun, and that is also a Mongolian-inspired sword and sorcery story. These are both on, in a crowdfunding campaign right now on BackerKit, which I'll link below, and you can go support. And so the nice thing is, if you get this book, you are not just getting one book, you are getting two books. Or one book, you get two novellas, kind of like an ace double. And I was lucky enough to get this arc in advance, so I could read it and review it here for you. And overall, I was really happy with this one. I remember first reading Hammond's work, I believe it was in issue 0 of New Edge Sword and Sorcery, and being impressed, right? It doesn't scream blood and thunder at all, which I like. I like it when Sword and Sorcery gets away from that, and I like blood and thunder, I do, but I like it when it goes away. It goes into a different direction, right? I can appreciate here this easy dialogue among the bandits. The atmosphere is very lilting. It's almost literary. It's, particularly how the events occur, and just the way it's recounted. And I appreciate the mood overall, right? It feels kind of reserved in a sense. Not super energetic. I don't think that's a bad thing here. And, I also like how Hammond teaches me words, because, again, I'm not familiar with these cultures really at all. And so I can appreciate how these bandits are just people, right, with morals and, dogmas and whatnot. And they're not depicted as evil or bad as they often are in fantasy or just in literature in general. And it reminds me more of, kind of the against the system that you often get in the cyberpunk protagonists, actually. So they're people that, I think are worth knowing about, if maybe not looking up to. Kind of depends, right? So anyways, but that being said, they're definitely outsiders, right? So definitely fitting with that sword and sorcery trope. Likely to not be welcome, really, in most places. I can't really say also that I'm familiar with Tankut, Tongut, I don't know. Either I looked that one up after reading this and found that to be some fun historical information to know. Also, just the whole, phrases and customs and other bits of culture we get thrown in there, from various nomads, again, the people from Samarkand, not a lot of focus on the Chinese themselves, but then Tongut itself, and so very interesting, very, very fun. But, throw that in, and I mentioned zombies at the beginning, and there's actually a lot of that. It's kind of a spiritual underworld journey in part in this novel. And not just a spiritual, it's physical as well, a lot of physical journey, just traveling through the Gobi Desert, but also an emotional one, right? And it deals some with Urla Khan, who's kind of a Lord of the Dead that I found very cool, surprisingly homoerotic, and with a certain dead figure that plays into the story. And overall, very enjoyable, right? And I think a nice change of pace for some Sword and Sorcery, but I think calling it anything else besides Sword and Sorcery, I'm sure you can get labels to just about anything, right? It's just historical fantasy or whatever, but it does definitely feel Sword and Sorcery. If you're a fan of the genre now or of old, then I recommend you should go and read it. I definitely look forward to more adventures of Goatskin, for sure. So anyways, Liam from Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.